Greetings, folks. It's been a long time since I've used MiniDV to record anything, but that's because I actually have a MiniDV camera that, for the longest time, I could not use. If you remember way back, I don't even remember really when I got this camera, just that I think it showed up in a video. One of my miscellaneous cavalcade of camcorders, I ended up with this. This is a Sony Handycam Vision model DCR-PC10 with super steady shot. Pretty nice little camera. Carl Zeiss 150 times digital zoom, which of course is useless. Don't remember how much optical zoom this actually has, but has the laser link functionality, which is pretty much the same as this camera that I'm using right now, which we'll see here in a moment. There's a microphone right up there. Stereo microphone. Accessory shoe, which is not powered as far as I can tell. Here's the battery. We'll come back to that in a moment. Swing out screen with some controls there. Most of the controls are here on the back. Pretty typical for a Sony camera. Playback controls are right here. Here's your diopter adjustment there, zoom and focus. This does have a manual focus ring, which is pretty nice. But yeah, the camera itself, I don't really like this form factor that this is in. And the same really goes for all the cameras that share this same form factor. Not the world's biggest fan of these. And this one takes it a step further. It is larger, which does mean that it's a little bit easier to use. However, it doesn't have a DV output, or what Sony would call the I-Link. It just has this connector here for charging, or what I presume this would actually go to is what's called a Handycam station. I think most of these DCR-PC models are pretty much the same in that regard. They would plug into basically a docking station that would give you all your connectors. But those docking stations are almost impossible to find, and the power adapters are even more impossible to find. So it took me until now, I think it's probably been at least 2 years, maybe even 3 or 4 years, or even 5, for that matter. I can't remember if I had bought it before the pandemic or not. But irrespective of all of that, I did finally find a power supply, or actually it's a battery charger. Now, what I ordered was not this. What I ordered was actually a generic aftermarket replacement from China. What I ended up getting was this genuine adapter from someplace in Quebec. The model ACV100. So if you're looking for one of these for your own DCR-PC10, or presumably similar models, this is what you're after. The umbilical cord would go here, which would connect to a cable that would plug into that special connector on the camera. So, I mean, that's a nice little bonus. This is an aftermarket battery. This is not a Sony original battery. I believe it's an aftermarket NP-F200, which suggests to me that these use what's called the InfoLithium F series batteries. I'm trying to think. I recognize the InfoLithium F. I'm trying to think about what other camera series would have used that. I want to say micro MV, but again, I'm not 100% sure on that. So, I think the prudent thing to do at this point would be to go ahead and switch over to the camera. So, assuming that it works anyway, I'll be right back, thanks to the magic of videotape. Here we are now recording with the Sony Handycam Vision model DCR-PC10 MiniDV camcorder. Well, that's kind of an awkward zoom control. It works the opposite of the way that you think it would. I was hoping to get out here a little sooner, when I'd have a little bit more light, but that didn't end up happening. So many projects that I need to work on. Yeah, it'd be a little hard to get to that. I must have been back here reading the meter. Huh. I don't think I'm getting that scrap metal out of there until the thaw comes. Not sure how much tape motor noise is going to be on this recording, but based on what I can hear out of the camera, it's probably going to be a lot. The zoom seems to work well. This does have laser link functionality, but it doesn't really work as a kind of video light. Well, maybe kind of in some things. It can almost function in place of a video light, but it's obviously not very good. It's not as good as a regular video light. And yes, that is a Windows 7 installation CD on this computer, even though that's not what it came with. More on that when I finish the video of that computer. But I think it's working pretty well. We'll see how recording worked. The playback was working okay. And this battery is actually working pretty well too. All things considered. That's kind of cool. There's always a person that comes by when you're trying to do stuff. Let's go back inside, I think. I don't think having this thing out here in the cold is really good for it. Use an extreme low light test. Where's that button? Here, of course, is the camera that I was using previously in this video. Handycam Vision model DCR-PC10. I must say I'm not a fan of the form factor of this DCR-PC10, and the fact that you need the Handycam station to really use any of the what I would consider to be basic functionality, or at least that's the way that it seems, because there is no AV output. Actually, that's not true. There is an AV output, but there's no FireWire output, certainly. You'd have to use the Handycam station to do that. If you even can. I'm not sure if this is new enough to be able to use the Handycam station. But I presume that you probably could, because I think it's the same connector. So I also don't know if this camera will let you... Oh, it will let you go through the menu and change the settings. Steady shot's on, by the way. So let's see. Program auto exposure. There's a spotlight effect. Oops, portrait. Sports. Beach and ski. Sunset. Landscape. Change it back to auto. Picture effects here, pastel, negative, sepia, black and white, solarize, and mosaic. And the white balance hold, outdoor, and indoor. Change that back to auto. I think that's pretty much all you get for settings that you can see anyway. So, but yeah, so far the battery seems to actually be holding out, which is kind of funny. I'm also kind of glad that this camera will work with an aftermarket battery without complaining about it, because this is not the original factory battery that would have come with this camera. So, anyway, I think that's pretty much all that I have to share about this DCR-PC10. Like I said, I'm not the world's biggest fan of the form factor, but that goes for all of these cameras that use this sort of vertical form factor. Not just this one in particular. So, compared to all of those, this is actually probably a better example because it's fairly large. But anyway, thanks for watching, and if you have any comments, feel free to leave them below.